Without further ado, it brings us to the main event. We got a buddy of mine. I met him a few months ago. I've watched him on Facebook. We've got a lot of mutual connections in the Houston area, and I've seen him at some networking events, and we bumped into each other. I don't know, it was one of the big events. Bumped into each other, finally got to meet. I think we had chatted on Facebook for a little while before that, and really like the guy. He's rock solid. He knows his stuff. But on top of that, the humility. And that's typically what we look for whenever we're looking for folks to come in and either do a presentation or really just network and kind of collaborate together. Humility is one of the big things that we like. You can be successful. You can be the most successful guy in the world or gal in the world. But if you don't have the humility, it just personally doesn't typically work well with us. We just find that speaks volume to the integrity of what they project, their image, and then ultimately their business and their message. So one of the things that's impressed me is how fast he's grown a new niche, which Airbnb, short-term rentals, is really a new niche in the investing sphere. Long-term rentals been around since like they've had 4 walls and a roof. But short-term rentals, especially short-term rentals from an investment grade and doing that at scale, it's newer. And he's been able to do this very quickly in one of the hottest, most competitive markets in the entire country. Been really impressed. And then, boom, gets sucker punched with this darn virus, sucker punch. And while that's going to keep people down, and it's going to be a struggle, regardless of who you are, you can either quell up or you can rise above it. And this is a guy someone who decided he was going to take the opportunity, rise above it, dig deep, get down to the bare bones of every little aspect of his company and build it back up to be stronger, better, more profitable. So he's going to be more sustainable and more profitable long term. I love it. It's the only time I've really previewed a presentation before we've done it. Previewed this one. It was great. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to stop my screen share and introduce Mr. George Salas.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate you welcoming me here. Much appreciated. So I hope everyone's doing okay and your families are safe. I'm actually really excited to do this because I've been putting together just a small product with all of the trainings that I've done, and then through the entire last 30 to 45 days, we've actually made a complete shift, and we've gone from being almost 60-70% booked at the beginning of the month in March to being like 5% booked to like even at the beginning of last month and this month being like 3 to 4% booked and ending the month at 65%. So I'm extremely excited about going through this entire presentation because I've taken some of these measures that I've learned from my coaches and the trainings, the experiences, the losses, the failures that I've had, not just in the last few years, but also in the last 30 to 45 days. So let's go ahead and go to the slides real quick. Presentation mode. Okay, can everybody hear and see? Yeah, awesome. So today I like to put together and then show up with 5 questions that every real estate investor, as myself, an STR investor, needs to know and ask themselves to prepare for a prosperous comeback from COVID-19. Okay, and I'm super excited to share this. So we're gonna go right straight into just a little bit about me. Okay, so my journey began when I was 6 years old, and I was sitting in the living room with my parents in Peru, and my mom walks into my bedroom and says, "Hey, George, we're gonna leave your dad." I was sick, so I didn't know what that meant, and we're gonna be moving to your grandma's. So she meant to tell me that they were getting a divorce. I misunderstood, and I understood that maybe in a way that she didn't love my dad and she didn't love them, right? So we moved to my grandparents' house in Peru, which is a 60,000 person, very small town. I lived in an adobe house. So I'm sitting here in an adobe house playing soccer in the streets, and then half of the house melts. And we had to live in a very small room where the ceilings were made out of like sugar cane, right? And you walked outside, the chickens were there, and then you walked on the street, and it was people playing soccer, and the streets were made out of dirt. That's where I grew up. And at the age of 15, I moved here to the United States, which is 20 years ago, and I went through many, many years of searching. I actually was in the nightlife for 10 and a half years. So I have 11 years in event marketing, promoting, production, branding. And I was an event promoter, and I dealt with many, many business owners over the entire city of Houston, bar owners, restaurant owners, business owners, events. I've done 3,000 person events, and what that brought me, not just the skills, but it brought me to a journey of searching, this whole entire time. I was in the search because I thought that my mother didn't love me, right? And she left without letting me and my brother say goodbye to my dad. At the time, I didn't understand it, but as I grew, I always had this bad feeling inside me. And then the feeling was of guilt of being a provider because my dad never was, right? And my dad never was a good provider. So I thought I needed to be a good provider, a better provider. And my dad was. So my goal was to always own a business. So at the age of 22 to 23, I started as a marketer, and I was able to bring so many people together into the nightclubs and the events. And I was doing events, all the way through the age of 32. So 3 years ago, I was able to leave the nightclub. Before that, I opened a nightclub and invested, upwards of 400 to 450,000 from the 10 years of being able to save money through a business where I started with absolutely nothing. And I was able to open up a nightclub and partnered up with the wrong people. I knew nothing about real estate. I knew nothing about actually building a business, what it takes to actually leverage a business. The business part of it was the least expertise. My financial knowledge was very limited, so I ended up getting into a partnership, and then this person who was the operator and partner was just brought the entire business to the ground. So 3 years ago, I lost everything, and right after that, I actually wanted to figure out what I was going to do with my life. I didn't know, and I walk into my friend Brett Franklin's one day, and he's doing a flip. We sit there for 3 hours, and then he hammers and pounds the fact that all of us can be successful if we put our minds to it. And if we work hard, and real estate's the avenue to jump into success in anything, right? Because you can do real estate, you can make big amounts of cash, you can build wealth and get cash flow at the same time. So I left that day, which is 2017, right after the hurricane, with something in my head. And then the next morning I woke up, I realized that my mother was, she was always the best mom she could. My father was always the best dad that he could. And then that I was good enough. And then I was the person I should have never thought or felt that I was not. I should have been a provider and had that guilt to be like my dad. So after I had lost everything, it took for me to lose my entire business, everything I had and I dreamed for. I worked my ass for about 10 years lost everything. So I had to start from ground zero. And I decided to make that change and make that leap. So right after the hurricane, right after all this happened, I started taking classes, doing seminars, attending Jason Bibles at the times, his event. I met my boy Ron Rana. I bought a lot of online courses. I bought a lot of books. So started educating myself so that would never happen again. And I would actually go for the true journey that I was meant to be in and for, so that I could build a life that I wanted. So within 3 months from then, in February of 18, I was able to get my first real estate deal. And actually, by the time we closed, we bought it, we renovated it. I had borrowed the down payment to pay our private lender. I had borrowed the down payment to do some money to the rehab. So we ended up at the end of the day, 10 days later, actually making a $46,000. So that day, it was June 29th of 18. And then that's the month right after that I quit the nightlife and I said goodbye, right? I was still working in a nightlife. I had gotten my first real estate deal. and I changed my life by making a decision. So from then till now, I've been able to build great relationships in the industry. I've been able to get into flipping and wholesaling at first. And I did about 20 deals to 25 my first year, amongst not knowing absolutely nothing 6 to 8 months before that. And it was all through constant 100% focus, right? All the striving and that fire to be able to jump there. So, and then from there till now, we've been able to do 40 plus real estate deals in the last 2 years. And we actually have 40 plus Airbnb listings. So 35 properties, and 30, we merged some of them. We made some of them different, by 2 listings into 1. So we're at 40 plus listings. And this entire thing hit, right? Corona hit. And we went from expecting to have our best month in March to having our worst month ever, right? And then I'd like to jump on I wanted to share and teach a little bit about what my experiences have been. And I want all of you guys here in this presentation today to leave knowing what to look for to deconstruct and reinvent your real estate business, your short-term rental business. And in some of these techniques, even if you apply a couple of them, I think they're going to help you. And I hope they serve you, right? So also I want you to know the reason to redeploy the skills and how you can shift the skills of your team members into something different, which is something that we've been adapting just a little bit. And we've reinvented our whole model with like 18 plus, 15 plus hours every single day, 7 days a week, so that our entire everything that we've built and worked for doesn't disappear, go away overnight, right? Also, I want to share how some of these strategies can better help you with real estate and short-term rentals. Once you get some ideas, how to deliver the result before you get paid, how to strategize, pre-selling, bulk selling, pre-booking with these strategies into short-term rental. I'm also going to share some of my experiences that I've had in real estate and some of the techniques that I use in real estate, and I think it could help everybody else in this call. So I know it's a very scary time out here, and we're in the midst of a fear-driven economic crisis, and it's very uncertain for all of us. So I am, we're all in the same position. I am in the same position as all of you guys, and my focus has been, sticking to what's important, and then these are the reasons to me why these things are important. We're in a crisis, but opportunity is going to be here. There's a new world coming. I believe everything is going to be completely new. And then whoever is shifting and adapting to this new world is going to be more successful, right? Your marketing has to be different. The way you talk to people has to be different. The way you advertise, all these little things, which some of these techniques that I've applied have worked up to that level, right? To be able to go from like 1.8% bookings or occupancy rate at the beginning of the month to 60, 65 by the end, which is not enough. Our break-even point sometimes is 45, 50, 55, depending on the level of expenses that we have that month, or depending on the management. I've had to let go some of my management that we had that were extra help, so that we wouldn't go into this crisis inside our business so deep that we can't even function, right? So I had to make a lot of changes. Also, I want to encourage today to everyone here that we're the exception as entrepreneurs, and we'll never, ever quit. I will never quit, and I want to share that energy with all of you guys. So no matter what the struggles are, you're still alive. You're right here, and you are just great, right? So the opportunity to be here today and then be able to still have a business, still work very hard towards your business, gives you that sense of victory coming, and simply having the courage to run the race and fight through the pain that hurts the most. So even though we've lost this entire chunks of money, or some of us have lost a percentage of our businesses, and we're in struggles, there's still victory ahead. And the way I've been able to struggle mentally and in my mind has been the way that I've been able to survive this is through applying some of these things, right? So Warren Buffett tells us that be fearful when others are greedy and be greedy when others are fearful. And what I mean by that is right now, everyone is fearful. So it's not time to go hide behind the curtains or in your home and not market your business. Go out there and put your business out there, because spend more money on marketing, because right now is that perfect time. Everyone is in fear, and those who strive to not be fearful and actually do the opposite will strive. So, and I'm going to go over 5 questions, and the questions are designed to guide you through creative and strategic thinking and analysis, so you're able to minimize potential risks and drive clarity in your real estate and your Airbnb business. And this is going to help you focus and discover the incredible opportunities that are emerging and will continue to develop during this COVID-19 and post-COVID-19 reality. And the world, society, culture, and economy as we knew it is over. We will not return to normal. There will soon be a different normal, and it will bring incredible new opportunities. And for those who find them first, I believe those opportunities will arise for those who are not fearful of going out there, like ourselves. As entrepreneurs, I always strive to not be fearful, and my focus is always on the end result. So even if I have struggles, and all the struggles that I have right now, or I've had over the last 2 years, or when I lost everything, I've always taken the 1 or 2 or 3 positive things and driven with those, so that allowed me to drive, myself to succeed in whatever I focus on, right? Because we become what we focus on. So we focus on fear, we're gonna become fearful, and we're not gonna act, and we're not gonna strive. Okay, and I want to start off with 3 essential action points. Don't look back, act fast, be the solution. And these 3 are just those points that you've just got to make that decision right now, today, and keep going with your business. All right. One more quote by Alexander Graham Bell. When one door closes, another one opens, but we often look so long and so regretfully up on the closed door. We regret on the past that we do not see the one which has opened for us. So the new opportunities that I'm talking about, that we're all talking about and seeing, that are going to come up, especially now. Right now is the revival time. Right now is when everything opens, and it's that perfect time to really keep going with, or actually pick back up with all of our businesses, right? Okay, so the first danger is our business is slow as hell during this crisis, and we don't know when the bookings or sales will come back even after the crisis. Okay, so that's the danger. That's what is going to hurt us, and that's the fear. And the question is, how can we deconstruct and reinvent our Airbnb or real estate business? Okay, so I want to throw in a few examples in what I've been doing in my business, and I want to throw in a few things that I think in real estate could be helpful for all of us here. So the one result that we are best at delivering. So in our case, we are best at delivering. Most of my properties are apartments in a downtown community. Okay, so they're not Class A and they're not Class B. They're a very nice area. So about 60 to 70% of my portfolio is a arbitrage portfolio on Class C units that cost me $800, $900, $1,000, right? And they make me 15, 16, 2,000, 2,500 on the really good times, 3,000, right? We are best at delivering affordable stays, beautiful and affordable stays. So we just emphasized in that one point to continue to thrive and keep the business going at the time. And with majority of my properties being downtown, given that all of the conferences are done, there's no games, there's no travelers, there's no business travelers, there's no walking traffic. Everything has been closed up until, maybe May 1st, I think. So that was our biggest hit. And we're still getting hit, not as bad. But what we did is we shifted so that we provide this same type of service, the affordable stays, and now we just filling in. And how we did it, that'll go into the next one. But we just really focus on delivering our best assets, right? Even the pandemic, ask yourself what has not changed. What is still the same? There are still people that need a place to stay. There are still people that need to buy real estate. There are still people that need to take loans, right? So you market to these people, even if the market is a little smaller, you market to them with a shifted marketing strategy and mindset. So, and then the next one would be, what would we look like if we're starting from scratch right now? So I imagine, I think, what is it going to be if tomorrow I have no business? It could happen. It could not happen. I'm not going to let it happen, obviously, but you need to ask these types of questions so that you can just piece out your business and just dig deep, right? And then look at every little thing inside your business so that you can take one part of this failing business and then shift it. Pivot the strategy of pricing, for example. Pivot the strategy of how we market, where we market, right? And here we go. And here is some proof how these companies like Armani's luxury fashion brand, they converted all production at its Italian factories to manufacture single-use medical overalls. James Dyson announced his vacuum cleaner and hand dryer firm would start designing and making 10,000 ventilators, with more to come. Ford Motor Company, working with 3M and GM, shifted to making respirators, ventilators, and face shields at its manufacturing sites, which is pretty awesome. And now they said they're going to do 50,000 more by July 8th or something. So, which just perfect examples. So even if it's only temporary, where can we take our core enterprise competency now to meet a high demand market? Like, where can we shift the strategies that we have where we're selling real estate? If we're a lender, if we're, a renovation company, if we're a real estate investor, whatever, and then meet that small high demand market to where we're going to succeed. So even if it's just a small amount of time, right now is that time to really dig deep into your strategic thinking. And I do this, and I sit there, sometimes for 30 minutes to an hour, and I'm just like thinking, looking at things and figuring out, looking at my entire business in one screen and figuring out what I can change to go and meet this higher demand, which requires me to work harder, work smarter, but work harder at the same time, because we have to change our entire business model. Okay. And with these questions, some things have not changed. Okay. So they're still affordable for places and central locations for us downtown, right? So we're competing with that. Travel has changed. Everything is banned. Things are closed. Stores are closed or have been closed. Less buyers for wholesalers and IR investors, less staff, very little cash flow. There are more, still probably the same amount of properties people are going to be selling, but right now, if we shift with that one strategy and it tweaks it on your letters or on the way that you're doing your marketing on Facebook or, your email letters, all that, if we make the one change, in my opinion, it makes these changes. And if we ask the great questions, right? And the great ideas, just as Peter Drucker says, the great ideas are birthed from the labor of asking great questions. And the more I think about it, and the more I learn and get coaching from my coaches, the more that I realize that it's not even about the answer. It's about the question. Like, the answer can be revealed quickly if we know what the question is. Like, what is the problem? What's the question? Digging deeper and finding out the real question, it makes me realize every single day in my business of what shifts I need to make, because the shift is right there, right? You don't know what to do. You're in doubts, you're in fear. But if you ask the true questions and dig deeper, right, that's when you're going to ask the true questions. If you dig deeper into your mind and you ask around as well, and that's what's going to guide you and has guided me in my business to make that shift. The second danger, the product or service we sell is no longer relevant during or after this crisis. Question number 2, can we redeploy our key skill sets, AKA shift our team to doing something different? So what are the key skills of your business? So what things can you take and actually your team can do to generate extra income, right? So I'll have some examples, but in our case, we've dug deep into creating a platform of direct bookings, right? So my entire business model now has an entire direct booking platform, and we're in the process of adding a platform that is combined with the direct booking platform that allows all of my listings to have third party anyone's service there added into it. So I can create an extra service that I can sell to my clients through our email newsletter. And this extra service can be from myself, one of my team members, my company, or a third-party vendor, right? So making this change is allowing me, and it's been taking quite a while, it's allowing me to actually open up more revenue streams in my business, right? So when we get back to being 100% like we were 2 to 3 months ago, then it'll be easier because we'll have that stream and we'll have the other streams that we've created and we've changed. And now my team will be able to have those skills to perform that task without having to really put too much pressure on each other, when they're learning a new skill, right? How about within the different departments of your enterprise? Exactly. Extra services in regards to our short-term rental business, and in real estate. I've got one example I'm going to show it here next for my boy, Ron Rana. And then the third question is, where might those skills be redeployed for essential services or current high demand markets, right? So that one is a great question as well. And we could use our team just like we've seen in examples prior. So, and then one perfect example is Steve Jobs. And he actually took Apple, and then he figured out that they were really good at 3 things: product design, marketing, supply chain management. And then he started changing up his entire model, right? Adding these extra things, used to make better MP3s, aka iPods, and created the perfect content ecosystem with iTunes. That's genius. He added the iPhone and iPad to the family. Now they're number 1 in the entire planet. Okay. Apple's the perfect example of redeploying systems that work to build continually better results. This is why they became the world's most valuable brand in the world. So, and Elon Musk says one of the really tough things is figuring out what questions to ask. Once you figure out the questions, the answer is relatively easy. So, third danger, we can no longer rent or sell our properties during or after the crisis. And the question is, what else do our clients, guests for Airbnb, or buyers/sellers for real estate need that we can help them with? So in our case, short-term rentals, extra services, as I talked about, rides to the airport. We haven't done those because we just put the platform, but food delivery, just very small examples. Food delivery, ride services. There are so many bicycles. You could do I have a list of maybe 25 things, and I can't even remember 4 of them right now, but there's so many ways that we can add these extra services. But to do that, we have to add the platform first, right? Because it's going to make it even tougher to deliver an extra service when we don't have a platform that will host the service. And it's not just a website, but a platform that will deliver quickly that service with plugins, okay, which is this guide book that we're implementing into our system that has, third-party services for anyone. And then for real estate investors, cheaper properties, virtual calling services, just one perfect example. And reconsider what you do. You're not in the consumer product or service selling business. You are in the problem-solving business for your target client. So that's something very, very deep. Consider what your target client group is going to need during these turbulent times, short-term rental solutions, and as the landscape changes, right? So once upon a time, there was a girl, and I read about this, and I had to put it on here. And she was a travel blogger, and she would publish real-time, I apologize, made a mistake here on the typo, real-time reviews, photos of restaurants, and the travel industry died, right? So 90% drop, literally overnight in our industry, 90% drop overnight. And this is all over the world, right? Houston here, our homes didn't get affected, They did maybe for like a week and they just got rebooked. We made more money in our homes than we made, before this hit. And then obviously our downtown properties died, and that's where I had to put so much hard work to make it happen. So, and this happened to her, but that didn't stop her. She told her readers and she changed the content and created something different, something they wanted, fashion, beauty, diet. And now her blog is bringing in 38% more revenue than before, just by making that one shift, right? Case study, my boy Ron Rana, I saw him, he tagged me, I appreciate it. That's hustle right there, changed his entire model. We actually added to his. I talked to him today, and he added to his business. Obviously, there are less buyers, right? People are a little skeptical about buying properties. So he added something new, something extra, and then it's a call center in the Philippines. Genius. And now he's marketing that and helping other investors with this particular service. And I did not put the website. I apologize. I got a little busy. I was going to show him some love, but go hit him up. And if you guys need the service as a real estate investor, I think he's great and you should check it out. All right. Fourth danger, budgets are cut. Travelers for Airbnb or buyers for real estate are cash strapped, right? Or afraid to spend money. Question number 4, how can we deliver a result before we are paid? And you start by answering this preliminary question. What is the one result that you're best at delivering, right? And going back to my business, we changed our model to weekly, monthly, direct bookings, third-party platforms, all these extra services. That was probably 50 to 60% of the business. Airbnb didn't bring very much. The shift brought. Airbnb was the channel of traffic. And then once the traffic hit and people did not want to pay the Airbnb fees, we advertised through our Airbnb platform and then took some of these clients that did not want to pay or didn't have the budget, right? Didn't have the budget to pay the normal price, and then we were able to book them direct. We shortcutted them, but at the same time, didn't even mention that Airbnb changed everyone's policies, which is a big deal right now. They're about to go on a big class action lawsuit, and they changed their policies against their contract, and they gave the entire planet over $1 billion in refunds. And after that $1 billion in refunds went out, all the hosts were really upset, and there still are. And there's been a big disturbance in the entire short-term rental community. So it has opened up a lot of windows and doors for people to go out there and change their models, start up things, and be more preventative, because we were only an Airbnb. So we had to change our entire model, go third party, go other platforms. In a direct booking site with good marketing, you get actually bookings, right? Or Airbnb comes in as a channel, and then people don't want to pay, guests don't want to pay because they can't afford it. Directing them through our channel now because they can't afford it, it's the best delivery. Now, if you make changes like this in pricing, I'm not talking about getting more or even dropping the price drastically. It's the service fees that add on Airbnb that come in at about 17 to 20%, maybe even more. I think about 25 all in, because they add the taxes for the city, the hotel taxes and all that. By that time, your percentage of goes up, and their fee is like 15%. So we've cut the fee, and we've been able to do it through direct bookings and some weekly bookings, which on a weekly or monthly basis, we get the money up front for that longer term, and we're able to just push a little more cash into our business, right? And then this question is designed to find your USP, identify the one thing that differentiates you as a solution provider, the one thing that you provide that your clients cannot live without. So what is the one result you're best at delivering and is most valuable by your clients? So a narrow message focused on that specific outcome will improve your authority, positioning, and increase client conversions. And the next thing is to figure out how to remove the resistance from your clients, and so your clients can become clients even faster. Okay, so and what would make saying yes a no-brainer? That would make it almost financially responsible not to take you up on your offer. Okay, take me for example. Again, we're best at delivering beautiful stays at an affordable price, and changing this model and actually adapting it into my entire marketing through titles, through photos, through direct marketing, to some email blasts, and then through actually conversion from people that can't afford their properties. And they ask us about, hey, can we book direct? Because we have, we've had a lot of, especially with Airbnb not allowing these bookings last minute. We've converted a lot of these guests coming in, and Airbnb blocks the entire house and doesn't let anyone that's under 25 book a house or anything, that any place that is an entire place only shared within 72 hours. And they've been pushing hotels, which means they're just all over the place. They're not loyal to the host who actually pretty much built this business model for Airbnb. And so that's worked for us, right? It's generated us revenue to survive this entire last couple of months. And it actually, with that with the bookings, with the inquiries, with the movement that we have because of the pricing strategies on the titles, we have better SEO, and Airbnb guests looking for these properties are able to find us even better. Because we have more views, and Airbnb takes in consideration the views, they take in consideration the actual searches, some of your settings like instant booking, they take consideration your pricing, how often you change your listings. So all these little things, right? So I have my VAs, my team making changes all the time. Okay, so ask yourself, what is the one result you are the best at delivering in any industry that you're in right here, right now? Okay, last danger, we're in a cash flow crisis and need money now to sustain ourselves. And the question is, how can we pre-sell or bulk sell our product or service? For SDR, we can pre-book or bulk sell our listings properties. And we've been able to do that through booking longer stays, marketing direct, and all of that. So it all focuses on about 15 to 17 things that have changed. And then those are within these 3 or 4 bigger strategies, right? And of course, yes, we can. The number one way to do this is watching your prices like a hawk. What I call the queen bee role. I read it in the book Clockwork. If you haven't read it before, it's an amazing book and has helped me literally in 2 years systematize and build my processes and systems and make sure I'm aware of my time. And it's helped me tremendously to be able to be successful in this industry. Okay, and pricing strategy, price changes are the queen bee, which is the most important action that you as a business owner can do to move the needle and generate revenue. And instead of selling your product or service to one customer at a time, can you make a bulk price offer? Discount bulk homes, maybe discount here to where, like you're doing a discount and you're advertising a bulk discount for 2-3 projects. I don't know. An incentive to pre-purchase, longer stays, XYZ. So this has worked for us, and I know that I'm sure you guys have implemented some of these strategies, and I hope that this is serving you so that you can make some changes right now and continue to thrive through this just craziness. So real estate wholesaling, can you line up buyers and sellers before getting properties under contract? Yes, I've done about 25 wholesales in the last 2 years. I'm actually closing in a deal this Friday. It's not wholesale. It's a property that we've purchased, and then now we're just getting rid of it. We fixed it up a little bit, so it's a flip, right? And we've held it for quite a bit because it was going through the affidavits. It's going through the sellers were taking a while because one of them had passed away, so we had to wait for 6 months, XYZ. So lining up your buyers and sellers before reverse wholesaling, virtual wholesaling, the whole 9 yards. These are great strategies for anyone in this type of business. And I just wanted to let you guys know that I'm actually coming out with an awesome 6-week program. And I'm gonna be teaching all the strategies I learned that are not just real estate and short-term rentals. These are all the strategies I've learned with my entire last 2 years. And they apply to branding, they apply to marketing ourselves, and how I've been able to achieve through overcoming my self-limiting beliefs, and then and really very, very short on money for the last 2 years, and building a business and compounding just all of the profits, and lots of the revenue that comes in, to just continue building, so that we now, have a good business, even though we're in a crisis. Now we're pivoting, but this will focus on the entire last 2 years and how we shifted to where I'm personally at, and how we built our business. So, and if you want all the 17 strategies, I'm going to be giving them away in a really awesome PDF. And I put together a quick website, and the PDF is not ready yet, but it is this website, and you can download it, and it'll be ready in the next few days. So I'd love for you guys to check it out. And I hope this serves you, and you guys are actually wonderful. So I appreciate it. Chris, again, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. That was awesome. It was awesome. So let's open up for some questions. Let's see. If you got any questions, feel free to unmute yourself. And so if you got any questions, unmute yourself or type it in chat. You may have been that good. You covered everything.
I see Ron Garrett, my boy Ron Garrett. What's up, Charles? Ron.
Yeah, we got some Hall of Famers in here.
Man, Richard Hall. What's up, Richard?
What's up, George?
How you doing?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Man, you know it, brother. The energy is not going anywhere.
Yeah.
18-hour day.
How's everyone else out there doing with the coronavirus?
Staying alive.
That's good. Only way to be.
Yes, sir.
All right. So no questions. You knocked it out of the park. If
I came in late, George, but I do have a question for you. What have you done to sustain, your sales and your growth, considering everything has been shut down and so forth? Did you transition into something else, or did you just have enough business to stay afloat? What's the situation with that?
So what I did is, since everything hit on March 11, and is when people started doing the cancellations, we went from like 55 to 60% booked, and I was projecting to have our best month ever, which could have been maybe 90 to 100,000 for the month.
Right.
We went to zero. Like, I'm talking about one maybe in 1 week, all of our reservations canceled, and so I switched my strategy in like a week. I worked freaking all day, night and day, to change all of the front line of business, okay, which was the titles, how we advertise, discounts, the pricing strategy, to make it like just drop it to a point that I was testing it back and forth. So did you say something?
No, I was just agreeing, making a sound actually.
Okay. And so by the end of April, we were at 3.8% occupied for April. We ended up at 60, I believe. I've got to check, because a lot of the bookings came direct. Okay. The other thing is, as I shifted, I was also implementing another way for people to book, right, and to bring in. And I do have, I'll do maybe like one deal every couple months right now with all this. So I have a deal closing, so that's a little extra for this particular season. But I've been building an online business, and I'm almost done and ready for my launch. That's my new revenue stream, and it'll be based on all of my life lessons and what I've learned, and how I've actually got here in 2 years. And then also I will teach about the struggle, right? What not to do, the mistakes I've made, because I made a lot of mistakes despite of all the things that I've learned. So now that new stream that comes with a lot of experience behind it also comes with some action, right? Because that's the type of person I am. So those two things have been a really big focus on pivoting my business model for the longer term, so we can not go through this again. Also, changing the way we market so we can sustain ourselves, because we would have gone down. I haven't lost one property. I've worked things out with all of our teams, right? All of our vendors. Sometimes we work things out with some of our vendors to where we're, hey, wait for us a couple of weeks. So we've done a lot of these moves to where we still maintain the relationship, and then we worked on, because everything just hit us in a matter of a week. It was disaster. All downtown properties just empty. And that's my one particular part of the portfolio that died. And that's the one I'm having the most struggle switching.
So you basically communicated with I'm assuming your vendors are your landlord relationships and so forth versus the ones that you own personally. So, you had to work out the financial details so that you can stay afloat until this whole thing lifted to some degree. Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, my just my mortgages and rent alone are like $45,000 to $48,000 a month. And, and then you have all the other expenses running this type of business. So I went a little crazy by switching it. So I didn't lose track in March. But when April 1st hit, it was like a completely new season again. I had to rethink everything I did in the middle of March to keep March booked. And then I had to put more hours to shift things so April would get booked. So in April, our sales were at about 57% of last April's, which we started at zero. Never started zero ever. Like everything was dead. So I know that what I did worked. Obviously, if I was prepared, it would have been a completely different thing, right? But it was 18-hour days for many days, brother.
I don't think anybody could prepare for this. I mean, this is not like a normal recession where you have an isolated, event inside of real estate. This is every business closed. No one can socialize or interact. I mean, people across the board worldwide are losing money. Some stores won't even reopen. So, to be able to think and do what you've done, my hat's off to you, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate that, sir.
I have a question for you, George. If it's okay, I ask another question.
Sure.
Are we okay?
Hey, how are you?
Hey, I had a question. I was wondering what advice you would give to a traditional buy and hold investor that's wanting to get into Airbnb.
So I would tell you right now that you need to research and know your numbers extremely well. So don't go into just switching it up and picking any property if you already have it. I would be very picky about what you're choosing, right? I would go right now towards the vacation areas, okay? Not anywhere downtown because there are no places that are opening, right? If you're a buy and hold investor, you're gonna have homes. Homes have been performing extremely well. And I would advise you to look at your numbers and do a strategic analysis on that particular property of what you can make. And it's very tough right now to figure out because the numbers are inconsistent, right? They've been really inconsistent for the last 2 months. And the way that we figure out the actual gross income of our properties before we buy them or rent them is by doing an analysis through AirDNA and reverse engineering the entire strategy. By plugging in the numbers, right? I've got a 10-step reverse engineer strategy I created, and I'm just it's like a general process of you analyzing a property for purchase or wholesale, but with an Airbnb gross and expenses included in that particular analysis. Yes, sir. I think I see some questions here in the chat.
Hey, Jamie had a question.
Yeah. So I'm assuming, I think you touched on this again earlier. You've listed it on Airbnb and VRBO, like all of your properties are listed in both places?
So what I've done is I've taken my Airbnb properties, I have synced them into a platform called it's called Hostfully, and that platform allows you to shoot this property because they're made already on Airbnb, right? So you import them first, then you sync them together, and then to sync them, I have to have several things in place, right? Our sync hasn't happened yet. So once they're synced, and it's because we have to get on board with our pricing revenue management company, and they're going to manage it for us. So I'm not spending 20 hours out of 24, right? And figuring out what to do. So now that I know where the market is going and I figure out like something very fast, you can import these properties into this platform, and this platform will shoot them to all these other, I haven't done that step yet, but I've done lots of direct bookings. I focused on my direct booking platform. And then the number one reason for that is because the traffic is not there on the other platforms, right? If the traffic isn't there, the most visited site, it's still Airbnb. So why would I waste more time going to other platforms if Airbnb's traffic is low? So instead of doing that, I built a direct booking site. And now the direct booking site allows me to take payments for anyone that wants to do, for example, like they book on Airbnb and then they're done with the Airbnb booking, right? And I'm going to tell you also a little bit about the liability. They're done with the Airbnb booking and they want like a few extra days. There are 2 or 3 ways you could do it. You could do it through the resolution center, which saves them taxes, and you can charge them premium, which per day will give you like 20 to 30% more. You could do it through an alteration tool that Airbnb has, and that gives you no advantage, right? Unless you up the price and then they even pay more. Or you could do it through the direct booking platform, okay? And the direct booking platform, you can channel in all of the dollars for that particular booking. So I took them, they booked on Airbnb. They wanted to, hey, I need another week because can you give me a good deal? I can't do an Airbnb, but I can do it on my direct booking.
What is that called? That platform called again? You said?
I'll send you the link. It's called Hostfully. I'll send it right here.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I need to do because, I mean, I only have one right now. I mean, we had 2, but we just sold that one. Because a lot of what we do, like if our flips, we're mainly flippers, but we always have exit strategies. So if our flip isn't selling and it's in a good spot, like these were on the lake, we decided to Airbnb them. That was one kind of exit strategy to make, revenue while we're holding it. But one of mine in Livingston, or the only one we have now, is just not getting many bookings. And I know it's because of COVID, but also, like you said, maybe I need to get it on a different platform. I haven't heard of that one before.
No, the Hostfully is not a platform that will get you customers, okay? Hostfully is...
Sends it out to different...
syndicate.
Right.
VRBO, HomeAwayBooking.com, but they don't have customers, right? People are looking, they're looking on Airbnb, and then they're finding these properties with like titles that give you a good like long-term booking,
right?
20 to 40% discount, all that stuff, and then that is allowing us to get the customer in, and then customer retention comes in after they're in. We either book them more nights through Airbnb's resolution center, or we book them through the direct booking if they want a week. Somebody just paid me a whole week through the direct booking site, and then they were on Airbnb. So, and I have an agreement in the back that protects me. Also, the guy's not even from here. You also want to look at your liability because I had a squatter that came from Airbnb, and then I gave it to her a place for $1,800 for $400 a week, which is $1,600, and she was late every single month. And then literally today, she moved out, and she pledged, got all these pledges, and is paying me $3,600 through pledges. I haven't seen the checks, but they can do that. They might squat, and you just have to be protected with your actual contracts. Now, if you're through Airbnb has their contract, and you can legally kick them out with an officer if because the place that Airbnb has their license, right? You could do it yourself too, but it's going to be a little harder if you do direct booking.
Okay.
Hey, George.
Yes, sir.
How does that affect you just mentioned that squatter when they go, like if they stay past the 30-day, which constitutes a lease type of agreement or a rental? How do you deal with that? Is there something in Airbnb that, deals with that if they stay past 30 days?
So if the jurisdiction kicks in after 30 days. So as far as I know, and don't call me on this, as far as I know, if they stay on Airbnb even past 30 days, I believe they're still under the short-term rental jurisdiction. But then there is a question that I don't know how to answer, and I can find out because actually it should be something that I should know, but this is one I don't know how to answer. I don't know if the jurisdiction of Texas kicks in into overriding Airbnb's policy. So
it could. It's just a general question. I know that from the past, but Airbnb could be a little bit different. But it's interesting to see a squatter, someone come in an Airbnb and doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she went to Airbnb and I did the same thing, right? Put her onto one of my places and she was paying late and then she stopped paying. But she moved out today and paid, supposedly is sending me all the checks, and I've been in contact with these pledging companies to pay her entire balance. So they are sending the checks.
You can always add an overlay too if you wanted to do a traditional lease.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did a lease with her, actually. I did a monthly lease.
I have worried about that. If somebody, because I have some people, like right now, some people are renting for a month, and I'm like, what if they don't leave? What am I supposed to do? But
Yeah.
like you said, you didn't anticipate her being a squatter. So, I mean, you're going to learn. And then you can tell us.
What I would do is I would really look at what kind of person they are and get a deposit and really dig, because I've been dealing with these types of cases very often in the last few weeks, right? I looked at, I had to make a decision. So it's either that or the place is empty, right? So there's risk in everything. Even in Airbnb, I thought that we would never be at this point, right? And to where we were at the beginning of last couple of months, but I would look at that tenant very closely and then get a deposit and just work it out that way, because you're going to get more, way more, like a place $400, $500, $600 if you rent it monthly for them. That's what I'm getting right now extra, right, on like a couple of properties that are renting monthly on top of my rent and bills, which allows and kind of covers what is missing on the other side. Mm-hmm. Makes up for the empty ones.
Yeah, plug the holes. That's ultimately what I do. It's better even break even than lose an entire mortgage every month. All right.
I have one last question. How much flexibility does Airbnb give you since you're working underneath their guidelines, or is it kind of a dual scenario?
Flexibility on which terms?
Making decisions, like control, like between you and the consumer.
So we have all decision making except for payment processing, and except for when some of their guidelines get broken. So they have a bunch of guidelines. So for example, if a property is not clean, there's a broken guideline. They have control and they decide. If nothing goes wrong, you decide. But they went around everyone's policies over the last 40 days, 45 days, changed everything, their own guidelines, their own contracts with the hosts, and refunded everyone, gave us nothing. And we're barely starting to see that 25% they promised. And it's 25 of what would have been if our cancellation policy applied. Most of my policies were strict. So to answer your question, we make all the decisions until certain things hit.
Hey guys. Hi guys, this is Renee. I joined late. I think I might have got confused with the hours. So I jumped in probably right at 8 o'clock or just shy of 8 o'clock. So my timing might have been off. But anyway, what I've been hearing so far has been great. I wanted to share, we started doing Airbnb last year with our tiny homes. And, we got into the tiny home business, something as a way to invest our money for my full-time career. But during that process, as building them, we decided, let's try this Airbnb thing. And it's been really great. I guess what I was going to bring up, and again, it's another platform that's been helpful for us, is we've used Furnished Finders. And it's been really, really helpful. We have one of our tiny homes. It's about 280 square feet, and we rent it out for $1,600 a month. And again, these are traveling nurses, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with. But I bring that up. I think you mentioned something about a lake property. And the other reason I bring up the tiny home was because, one of the things that we're venturing in is trying to do these tiny homes near state parks, hill country, where they tend to have a high occupancy. It's somewhat seasonal, but don't know if anybody's ever considered that or doing something like that. Vacation rentals, I think you were mentioning, George, a minute ago, that may be a better way to go. I just want to get some thoughts on that.
Right now, vacation rentals are always good in my opinion, Renee, but they're seasonal, right? But right now, for the next 6 months, you're going to kill it in any vacation rentals starting now because beaches are opening. Everyone's been stuck at home for 2 months. So those will be the way to go, right? And then if you're investing in more tiny homes, and I will look at my cost of purchase, like per square foot, and then also, your cash in before, because tiny homes, the lower the square footage when we're renting an Airbnb, for some reason the higher you can get, so higher per square foot you can get. Right. And that's the general on, long term. But in Airbnb, it can be very luxurious or short-term rentals, or even monthly. Now I've seen it, with my own eyes. You can make almost the same amount renting someone monthly than you can do an Airbnb without the hassle.
Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah, that's what we're doing with these nurses. We're 280 square feet at $1,600 a month isn't bad. So yeah, just thought I'd bring that up. The other question that I had was in regards to I just went blank. I just had it at the tip of my tongue, but I'm sure it'll come back. Oh, is there a better part? Or I guess the better question would be, when do you envision this bookings to start increasing? Do you see that happening towards the end of this month? In June, again, we have 4 Airbnbs. Thank God, for the month of April, we're probably 90% occupied. And I think a lot of that had to do with doing some grassroots door knocking, visiting local hospitals, local clinics that people would seek housing. And as a result, we got some direct bookings. But when do you anticipate it to probably somewhat sense of normalcy, I guess you could say?
I would say as soon as travel opens back up, you're going to see a big surge and bookings throughout the entire city. And the travel will allow also all these events in the big areas of town, the Galleria, all the conferences, all that travel that's not business, it pushes towards all of these properties around the loop and all of the 610 loop. So we get a lot of traffic from there. Now on the outskirts, I believe it's very consistent. So I have 4 properties on the north side and then one like close to downtown. That's not Airbnb yet. But the 4 that are on Airbnb have performed extremely well. So I think maybe when the travel opens back up would be one, and then all the events get rescheduled. But right now people are still skeptical, in my opinion, and I have not kept up with a lot of the news. So you guys probably know a lot more about what's happening, what's open, because I've been super focused on this.
Yeah, I got some insight on that. Where are you from, Renee?
Here in Houston.
Okay. So think about this. I worked in the travel industry for 10 years before getting into real estate. I did it. I was doing real estate was my side gig until eventually became a full gig. Specifically, I sold cruises for the largest travel agency in the United States. Unfortunately, that travel agency that is online, they're basically kind of like the Zillow before Zillow, or the Travelocity before Travelocity was what they are. They went from like 600 something agents down to less than 100. Like, boom, overnight, done. Because nobody's going on cruises. Even whenever Carnival, and Royal Caribbean and all them, when they open their cruises back up, which Carnival's talking about in August, who's going to go on a cruise right now? There will be people, but not many. So the good thing about Airbnbers is those travelers, they're going to want to go somewhere. So the hospitality space hotels, Airbnb, they're going to be able to take and absorb those travelers. So I think that's actually going to help and be somewhat of a, if not a stimulus, at least help compensate for other factors, whether it's loss of income in the economy or an increase in Airbnbs because people can't sell their house, so they now need to turn into Airbnb. That actually should help things, but it comes at the expense of the cruise industry, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I think that's
Great
more
point.
of a fear factor than anything else. I think once the fear subsides and they stop putting out all this negativity, because you look at things that have opened up just currently. Most of these boutiques, people won't go inside. They're still going through drive-throughs. I've eaten out several times now, and it's like I'm the only one sitting in a restaurant. So there's so much uncertainty still because, again, this is something that's no one's ever been through. You really don't know the end result. I mean, yeah, it's not going to be normal in a sense, but there will be some adjustments to be able how we function as people. But travel, yourself, I was in traveling for a long time doing on the wholesale side of travel. But it is when you see things open up, and Airbnb is a little bit more target specific than just general travel. But I'm curious to see what happens. I mean, I wish the fear would stop and resolution would start, and opening up things is a good thing. I mean, but even with it open, you look at a lot of retail; they'll never open up again. The retailers are still not open. So I want to see what happens with that and how it really will affect our industry as a whole too.
Yeah, one thing to keep in mind, and I know we could talk a lot on what ifs and whatnot, but it's going to take time, whatever it is. It's going to take time to get to whatever new normal we have. It's going to take time to, if we are going to hit a bottom. When recessions start, they typically, historically, don't hit bottom for like 1 to 3 years after the start of the recession. So it should actually be some time. Hopefully we're not in for something like that, but it may take time. So recovery takes time as well. Just be diligent, be smart. Don't go out and spend all your money. Be very strategic. I mean, that's what I love about what George did is he's very strategic, very purposeful, and dug deep and thought ahead. Where, did that pivot now? There are going to be other people who kind of like wallow, and then maybe they try to pivot, but too late, and it's kind of unfortunate. So just be very smart. And we were kind of on this road to pivoting, not because of COVID, just because of just strategic alignment with our long-term goals. Fortunately for us, it actually was very correlative to what we would have to have done anyway. But ultimately, just being smart, pivoting, and figuring out how you can provide more value in a very volatile market. More value, and then hopefully at a better cost per per revenue, help your bottom line. So all right, guys, we're appreciate you, George. Like I said, I got a little bit of a teaser on this presentation, knocked it out of the park. We're gonna if you did chime in a little late, could have been my fault. I did notice in Eventbrite, we've always done this event at 7 o'clock live and in person. But I did notice in Eventbrite, it showed Eastern time as opposed to Central. That's my fault. It's been fixed, but we were marketing it to some other markets outside of Houston, and I got an email on it. Someone called me out on it, so apologize if that messed up anyone's schedule. But we're gonna have this recorded presentation. We'll have it on Facebook, or I apologize. We'll have it on YouTube, on a YouTube channel. I'll put it in the notes. In the chat, you'll see it there. You can also find our YouTube channel on our website, rehacking.com, www.rehacking.com, and check it out along with some prior events and other real estate trainings we have. So as far as an event, we will have one again the first Tuesday next month, June 2nd. June 2nd. Hopefully it will be alive, like in person. We can actually shake hands and not have hazmat suits on.
Just bring some hand sanitizer.
Just wash your hands. But whether it's live or not, we'll still have a recording Don't actually have a presenter, but I do. There is one topic, Airbnb related, that we're going to be doing, whether it's an actual presentation next month or a recorded session. Jamie and I are going to be deconstructing our Airbnb from hell. That was our lake house that we just sold with an attorney that his sole job is to sue HOAs. And he is, look him up. This guy's sharp. You can look up the Texas Supreme Court case, Tar versus Timberwood. Tar versus Timberwood. Supreme Court case. Every Airbnb owner or operator should be sending this guy thank you cards for what he did in that court case. There's a lot of work to be done. We've talked with him. We were going to go down that road. Thankfully, we just sold the property and made a profit. But he's agreed to come on and do it. Have a chat. I'm excited about that. So stay tuned. Thank you all, everyone. See y'all next month.
Yep. Thank you. Have a good night.